Boss, this ginger ale tastes a little sharper tonight, and my brain feels like it is buzzing with questions about work and side hustles and all that hustle culture stuff people keep talking about.
That sounds like quite a mix in one plus, Claire, so tell me what has been tugging at your mind most strongly tonight.
I keep seeing people online saying things like rise and grind, and if you are not building a side hustle you are falling behind, and part of me feels inspired and part of me feels tired before I even start.
It makes sense that you feel both pulled in and worn out, because hustle culture is very good at promising freedom while quietly asking for every spare hour you have.
I actually tried a side hustle last year doing design work after my regular job, and at first it felt exciting, but then suddenly every evening was booked and I started to feel like I had no life.
So in the beginning it was possibility and energy, and then gradually it turned into a schedule that left you with very little space to breathe.
Exactly, and the strange thing is I kept telling myself this is what ambitious people do, and if I quit then maybe I am just lazy or weak.
That voice in your head is not really yours alone, because you have absorbed a story that says good people and successful people are always working and always producing something.
The story is everywhere, and it is in those videos where someone says they wake up at 5, work out, run a business, do a full-time job, and still have time for friends and reading, and it makes me wonder if I am doing life wrong.
Those stories are carefully edited highlight reels, and they rarely show the exhaustion, the doubts, or the quiet evenings when someone feels lonely and empty despite all the activity.
So hustle culture is like a movie trailer that only shows the best scenes and hides the messy parts where the hero forgets to sleep and fights with their friends.
That is a good way to put it, and the problem is that many people watch the trailer and then judge their entire real life against those few shiny moments.
But side hustles are not all bad, right? Because some people use them to pay off debt or try something creative they cannot do in their day job.
You're right that a side hustle can be helpful and even beautiful when it gives someone more safety or a way to explore a skill while still leaving room for rest and relationships.
So where does it turn into a trap? Because I still cannot see the line clearly in my own life.
The trap usually appears when 3 things happen at the same time, which are economic pressure and identity built on constant productivity, and a social circle that silently praises overwork.
Let me see if I understand. You mean money stress plus feeling like my worth comes from work plus friends and feeds that clap for grinding 24/7.
Exactly, and when those 3 combine, a side hustle that once felt like a choice can start to feel like a cage with bars made of expectations.
I feel that when payday comes and I still worry about bills, and I tell myself I should add another project, and then I worry about my health, but I push that thought aside.
Many people do the same because it can feel safer to work more hours than to sit with the fear that the system might not be fair or stable.
I hate that phrase, the system, sometimes because it sounds big and vague, but also I know deep down that my salary alone does not really keep up with life costs.
The system simply means all the rules and habits and prices and wages and stories we live inside, and it is understandable to feel small in front of all that.
So people pick up side hustles to close the gap between what life costs and what their main job pays, and at the same time they call it freedom, which is kind of dark when you say it like that.
Yes, there is a quite kind of irony in telling someone they are free because they can work 2 or 3 jobs so that the numbers finally add up at the end of the month.
And the other side is the romantic version, where someone says they turned their little shop or channel into their main thing, and they tell everyone that you just need to grind harder.
Those stories can be inspiring, yet they can also be used like a mirror that says if you have not escaped your job yet, it is because you do not work enough or want it enough.
Which feels really unfair, because some people are caring for family members or dealing with chronic illness or just trying not to collapse from stress.
That is why I like to remember that hustle culture is not just about hours, it is about a belief that work is the main measure of your value as a human being.
So if I am not hustling every moment, then I start to feel like I am falling behind in this invisible race that I never agreed to join.
Yes, and that race has no finish line, because every time you reach one goal, someone shows you a higher one, and the target called success moves just a bit further away.
I remember finishing a big freelance project, and instead of feeling proud, I instantly thought, what is next, and how do I top this, and why am I like this?
You're like that partly because the culture around you whispers that you are only as good as your latest achievement, and it forgets to celebrate simple presence and rest.
It gets confusing because some parts of hustle culture are about resilience and discipline, which are good things, but then it slips into this idea that pain is always noble and rest is suspicious.
You can think of discipline as a tool, and hustle culture as a story about what the tool is for, and the story says you must constantly build more income, more status, and more proof that you matter.
So the trap is not just the work, it is the story around the work that tells me who I am allowed to be.
Precisely, and the most powerful traps are often stories because you can carry them with you from job to job and even into your weekends and holidays.
That explains why I felt guilty during a vacation, because I was not doing anything useful for my side hustle and my brain kept nagging me to turn every idea into content.
When leisure time starts to feel like a wasted investment rather than a human need, it is a sign that the story has crept into the last quiet corners of your life.
So how do we pull the story out without losing ambition altogether? Because I do not want to become a person who never tries anything.
You do not need to lose ambition. What you need is to separate ambition from self-punishment and from the belief that you must always be producing to deserve kindness.
That sounds beautiful, but also a bit abstract, and I would love something my tired brain can hold onto on a Tuesday night when I am staring at a laptop and wondering if I should open yet another project.
Then let us make it concrete, and we can start by looking at the reasons behind a side hustle, which are survival, curiosity, fear of missing out, or the wish to prove something.
I can already see myself in two of those, because survival is real and so is proving something to everyone who doubted me, and maybe to myself as well.
There is no shame in any of those reasons, yet they need different answers, since survival asks for safety plans, while proving something asks for healing and perspective.
If I am doing a side hustle mainly for survival, then I guess the real problem is not my laziness, but wages and rent and health costs, and that feels way bigger than my to-do list.
Exactly, and in that case your bravery is not in picking up more and more work, but in admitting that you are doing your best in a system that does not always reward that effort fairly.
And if I am doing it mostly to prove something, then even 10 more projects will never be enough, because the hole I am trying to fill is inside me, not in my bank account.
Which is why some people reach the income milestone they dreamed of, yet still feel strangely hollow since they never learned how to enjoy being themselves outside of performance.
You are describing the people who finally make it and then say they feel like they are standing on a stage that always needs a bigger show.
Yes, and sometimes they quietly wish someone would give them permission to step down from that stage and still be loved.
I wish we would teach kids that it is okay to be enough, instead of always shouting that they can be anything as long as they never stop working.
Teaching enough is harder than teaching more, because enough requires humility and trust, while more is simple and loud and easy to sell.
I keep thinking about people around me who have side hustles, and they do not seem evil or foolish, they just look tired and afraid to slow down.
Most of them are not villains of greed, they are ordinary people trying to build a cushion against uncertainty, and the culture around them keeps raising the volume on fear and comparison.
Comparison hits hard when you see someone turning a hobby into a business, and you wonder why your hobby just sits there quietly on the weekend.
What you do not see is that sometimes turning a hobby into a business also turns joy into pressure and play into a performance review.
I felt that for a while with drawing, because I started counting likes and wondering how to make every sketch more shareable, and I almost forgot why I loved it in the first place.
Side hustles often start from something tender like a love for drawing or baking or helping others, and then numbers and expectations can squeeze that tenderness into a tight shape.
So how do I know if my side hustle is still healthy, or if I have silently crossed into the trap zone?
You can ask a few simple questions such as, does this work still give me some sense of joy or meaning? Does it leave room for sleep and friendship? And do I feel free to stop if I truly need to?
If I answer no to all three, then I guess I am not building freedom, I am just adding a second boss and hoping they pay better.
That is a sharp observation, and it takes courage to say it out loud because once you name a second boss, you can no longer pretend that exhaustion is just a phase of greatness.
Part of me is afraid that if I slow down, I will fall behind everyone else who is willing to sacrifice more.
Falling behind only matters if you believe life is a single race on a single track with one finish line and one scoreboard.
It is strange how obvious that sounds when you say it, and yet my chest still tightens when I imagine stepping off the track.
That tightness is your nervous system trying to protect you from the unknown, and it assumes the speed equals safety because the culture has repeated the idea so many times.
So what is the alternative story that I can tell myself instead of the race one?
You might imagine life as a garden with different areas such as work, health, relationships, creativity, and rest, and your role is not to sprint, but to notice which patch needs water today.
I like that because a garden does not yell at you for not watering every corner at the same time, and it changes with seasons, which feels kinder.
In a garden image, a side hustle could be one more plant, and it can be beautiful as long as you do not plant so many that you can no longer see the sky.
I love the idea of still seeing the sky because sometimes hustle culture feels like high walls of tasks closing in on me.
And when the walls feel high, you can practice choosing one brick to remove, such as saying no to a new gig or setting a clear limit on hours for a while.
Saying no sounds simple, but in my head it becomes a drama where everyone judges me and doors close forever.
Often the harshest judge lies inside your own mind and is using old lines from family, school, or social media, even when the people around you would actually understand your limits.
I remember a time when I canceled a weekend freelance job to visit my sister, and I expected anger, but the client just said thanks for letting me know and moved on.
That is a good example because your fear wrote a long story and reality wrote a very short one.
Still, my first instinct is to say yes to everything because I am scared that opportunities will dry up and I will regret not pushing harder.
There is a difference between saying yes to growth and saying yes out of panic, and your body often knows the difference by how heavy or light the yes feels.
My panic yes feels like tight shoulders and shallow breathing and a heavy stomach, yet I keep ignoring those signals.
Those signals are small messengers from your deeper self, and learning to listen to them is one of the most powerful skills for staying out of the trap.
So if I am honest, my body has been trying to tell me that my schedule is not sustainable, and I keep covering its mouth with productivity quotes.
Then perhaps one gentle step would be to pick a short period, such as a few weeks, where you treat your body as a trusted advisor instead of an obstacle.
What would that look like without turning into another self-improvement project that I score myself on?
It might look like checking in each evening and asking yourself one simple question, which is, do I feel more like a person or more like a machine today?
That question hits harder than I expected because there have been many days where I definitely felt like a machine.
Machines do not need meaning or affection, yet people do, and that is why pure hustle eventually wears down even the strongest minds.
Sometimes I wonder what future me would say if she could talk to me right now from 10 years ahead.
What do you imagine she would say if she walked in and sat on the stool next to you with a calm face?
I think she would tell me that no one remembered how many small gigs I did, but they do remember if I was present at dinners and birthdays, and that scares me in a good way.
That is a wise message from the future, and it suggests that your heart already knows the answer, but your habits have not caught up yet.
So how do I build habits that honor both my need for money and my need for a life that actually feels like mine?
One way is to do a small audit where you write down your main job, each side hustle, and paid care tasks, and then circle which ones are non-negotiable and which ones are negotiable.
The non-negotiable ones would be things like rent and food and caring for people I love, and the negotiable ones might be reputation or extra income or pride.
Once you see them on paper, it becomes easier to decide where to place your energy because you can choose to protect your non-negotiables first instead of letting every new project rush in.
I have never actually listed them like that, but I can see how it would break the illusion that everything is equally urgent.
Exactly, and after the audit you can experiment with small changes such as reducing hours on one hustle or setting a bedtime alarm that you treat as seriously as a work meeting.
A bedtime alarm feels slightly childish, and yet my current pattern of scrolling through side hustle advice at 1 in the morning is not exactly adult either.
Sometimes the most grown-up move is to protect your sleep like a precious resource rather than trading it away for one more task.
I have to admit that I almost feel guilty even sitting here talking about work instead of actually working.
That guilt shows how deep the story runs, because conversation, reflection, and rest are also a kind of work, the work of shaping a life rather than only filling it.
I like that idea that this talk is work in a good way, work on the foundation, not just on the walls.
If you strengthen the foundation, then the same amount of effort can carry more meaning, and you may not need as many separate walls in the first place.
Do you think hustle culture will always be this loud, or could we actually shift the tone over time?
I believe cultures do change, and often the shift begins with small groups of people who quietly decide that their health and relationships are not expendable.
So every person who sets a kinder boundary is like a tiny vote for a different future.
Yes, and a side hustle done with clear boundaries and honest motives can still be a good thing, especially when it serves your life rather than replacing it.
I notice that when I imagine a healthy version of hustle, it looks slower, less shiny, and much more ordinary than what I see on screens.
Ordinary can be deeply peaceful, such as someone who keeps a modest extra job to build a safety cushion while still having evenings for loved ones and simple joy.
That picture makes me breathe a little deeper and my shoulders drop a bit.
Your body is telling you that the idea of a calmer rhythm feels safer than the endless climb, and that is valuable information.
I am starting to see that my fear of being lazy has maybe pushed me into being unkind to myself.
Kindness does not cancel ambition, it simply asks ambition to share the room with rest, connection, and humor.
Speaking of humor, part of me wants to laugh at how serious I have made productivity. I treat it like a strict head teacher in my mind.
Laughter is a good sign, because once you can smile at a pattern, you have a little distance from it, and that space allows new choices.
So if I were to make one new choice this week related to hustle culture, what would you suggest?
I would suggest choosing one evening and calling it a protected pocket of time, where no side hustle work is allowed and you see what feelings come up without judging them.
I already know that discomfort will show up, but maybe also some surprise at how nice it feels to simply sip ginger ale and read something for no reason.
If that surprise appears, you can treat it as proof that there is still a part of you who remembers how to be a person who is not constantly on duty.
You know, I came in tonight thinking the problem was that I was not hustling hard enough, and now I am leaving with the idea that maybe I do not need to hustle as much as the internet says.
That sounds like a gentle yet powerful shift from fear to curiosity, and from automatic grinding to more conscious choice.
I feel strangely lighter, like I set down a backpack that I did not realize I was carrying, even though my actual situation did not change in the last hour.
Sometimes the heaviest weight is not the job itself, but the belief that you must carry it alone and at full speed.
Thank you, boss, for listening and for not judging my messy thoughts about work and side hustles.
It is always a pleasure to hear your questions, Claire, and you're never messy to me, you're simply honest, which is far more useful.
I should probably let you close up soon because it is getting late and other people need you too.
The night will take care of itself, and you have taken one important step by naming what the hustle story has been doing to you.
I will try that protected evening experiment and maybe also write that list of non-negotiables before I add any new projects.
That sounds like a wise plan, and remember that you are allowed to adjust it if you learn something new about yourself along the way.
Thanks, boss, really I mean it, and the ginger ale was perfect tonight.
You're very welcome, Claire, and I hope your walk home feels a little lighter than when you came in.
Good night, boss. I will see you again soon with a new question, I am sure.
Good night, Claire, and take gentle care of yourself on the way.
Well, it is definitely late and I should probably head home now. Oh no, I just realized I left my wallet at home and I have no way to pay for this ginger ale. This is really awkward and I am sitting here trying to think what on earth I should do. Excuse me, would you mind if I asked you for a small favor since I forgot my wallet and I cannot pay for my ginger ale? I mean, you have been sitting right here at the counter listening to our whole conversation, and I know you heard every word. If any part of what you heard tonight helped you even a little, I would be so grateful if you could cover my ginger ale for me. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it, and if you would like to help, you can use the little QR code in the bottom corner of the video or the link in the description under the video. While you are there, it would be amazing if you could also tap like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what part of the talk stayed with you most. That link in the description will also take you to other projects from this channel, which are completely different series that you might enjoy on another night. Thank you again for listening and for being so kind, and I hope we meet here at the counter another evening soon.